So I've decided, now that I'm finished with the sketch of Grumpy, there it is, I am going to ink it with my brown Prismacolor pen. Okay, so I want to get the lines all inked in, and then I will erase the pencil lines. And when I ink, I like to make sure that I'm looking at my image in case I am off on any little details or I miss something, where in this case I did miss something. I just added it in with my ink pen there. And make sure that I'm getting the best outline that I can. And here's where I put all those little details in. Like, see, I'm adding kind of the little parts of his beard that I just kind of like glossed over with the pencil. Right, I didn't need to make those precise with the pencil. Okay, I'm going to finish this up and I'll show you when I'm done. Alright, I have my drawing complete, and interesting because remember I said I just bought these yesterday. This is the first card that well no, I did some last night too, I think. But really, first card kind of with the pencil and the brown ink and the mechanical pencil mixed with the ink. You can see some of these lines here are darker because it actually mixed with my ink, which I think is very interesting. So what we want to do is we're going to start blocking out the color, and I'm going to put some base colors in for Grumpy, and then I'm going to show you how to layer colors so that he has a little more depth and a little more interest instead of just plain old solid colors. So I'm going to pick some colors and I'll be back. Alright, I'm back and I have some colors. Let's see if we can get Grumpy done before I got to pick the kids up from school in 30 minutes. So here he is, and I've got some basic colors for him. So I'm just going to start coloring in my base colors. Okay, so he's got red, and I'm going to color his whole shirt in with this solid color red. Okay, so actually this is red too. I'm going to do this all red. Alright, and then I'm going to do, is it this brown? What did I pick for his head? Yeah, this one. And then this one. Yeah, okay, so I'm going to take my brown and I'm going to do his whole head kind of this lightish brownish color, okay? And then I'm going to do his skin, and I like to use my light one. This is actually my second to light one, although I think for him he does have some highlights in there. So I'm going to mix it up. I'm going to do my light one first and do my whole light skin tone on his hand, and I'm not going to do anything with his beard, and I'm going to finish that and be back. All right, so I've got Grumpy all colored in with the base color, right? This is kind of like a coloring book drawing. And now we want to finish him up and make him look really kind of spectacular. He's really kind of flat, and the marker's kind of streaky and doesn't look very good. So let's really bring some life into him, okay? And I'm going to start with his face. I always start with the face, okay? And I have my reference picture, although even if you didn't have a reference picture, you can still kind of get an idea of how to do this. You need to have a light source, right? This picture has a light source, so the light's coming this way. So I'm going to have my highlights on my left-hand side, and I'm going to have my shadows on my right-hand side. And I know I'm looking at you guys backwards. Hopefully that translates. Okay, so I'm taking a darker skin tone, and actually this is my darker. I've got 3 here, okay? So I've already done my light. This is my darker. I'm going to try and leave some highlights for white, although this is a cartoon, so coming back in with white pen is perfectly acceptable and appropriate in this case. And I'm put some shadow on that schnoz of his, right? All right, and he has a little bit up top. It's hard to get a fine line with some of these markers. Okay, it's looking pretty good. We'll blend it with our mid-tone. He's got some nice shadow going along the line of his beard here. He's got a lot of shadow actually under his mouth. We'll have to go in with a darker color there. And under his cheek here, it's also pretty dark. And under his nose. And then the bottom of his lip as well. Okay. Let's see what else we got going on here. So we got a pretty good shadow going here along the edge of his hat. Right? And again, just like when I was drawing him, I am looking for shapes. Okay, so I'm looking at the shape of those shadows. Okay, and then he's got some shadows around his eyes. Like that, and he's got some shadow on his cheeks. And then right in the little creases there, he's got some shadow going on. And then around his eye to kind of define his little squinty eye here, right? And the top of that eyebrow. And I think that's pretty good. I'm going to take a look at his hands. Okay? Look how his face started. He's got some shadow. He's got some nice definition and shadow here around his hand, right? Kind of get those shapes in there. Get those knuckle shapes in there with my marker and get the shadows between his fingers. All right, so just a little bit, and I'm going to add more with the medium color. And then on this hand over here, just a little bit. Okay. All right, so that's my lightest color, my medium color. I'm going to come in with a third color, and I may come in with an extra dark color. Okay. So let's see. I want to transition kind of in here. Oh, this is the same dark color again. What happened? I grabbed the wrong marker. All right, no big deal. Still wet. Okay, so I'm going to come in here with the medium color. I'm just going to kind of blend it all around. Right? And then, if you want, at the same time, you come in with your lighter color and blend that all around. Now remember, your markers are going to be darker when they're wet. Okay, so it looks like I've darkened all that up, but I really haven't. Okay, it's going to lighten up actually quite a bit once it's dry, right? But you can see his nose is starting to get a little bit of definition in there, right? So I'm going to keep going, medium along the edge of that dark, making sure I leave some of those highlights if I can. It's kind of a small space with fat tip markers here. I'll do my best. I may have to come back in with white pen, which is also fine. Okay, and then as it's still wet, ooh, I put black in too soon. I was trying to save time, and now I botched it. I've got some smeared black in there, which I'm going to have to fix. All right. Stay away from the black. The black is actually what you want to do last, but I wanted to kind of show you kind of what it looked like where, you know, some people have consider it finished. All right, I'm adding the middle medium to the hands. Right there along the edge. All right. Okay. I'm I'm going to have to fix the black. I got black on my marker too, which is not good. So I got my marker tip dirty, right? I got some black on there. Make sure you try and clean it all off. It's not good for the marker. And I'm going to do my best to get this black off. I may have to pull out some tricks with some white pen or something to do that. It's okay for now. Okay, so now his face is a lot more interesting, right? It's got some definition. It's definitely more three-dimensional. His hand, you can see some details on his hand. Let's go ahead and move on to his hat. We've got some nice shadows going on in his hat, so I have a darker color here. I actually made his hat a little too dark, but that's all right. Then I'll just come in here and we'll see how it looks. We need to see if we can lighten it up a little at the end. That's the trick with markers. You don't want to go too dark too soon. And I'm rushing, which is never a good thing to do. Right? Okay, so I've got this shape. See how I'm just making that shape? It's like a crescent shape. I can see the shadow. I'm just kind of following along this shape here, right? Get that in there. And then he's got some more along the edges here, and here, and here. And again, just following along the shapes, right? And this is going to be pretty hard-edged and look pretty bad for a minute or so until I start to really kind of blend it all in. All right, so I've got the shapes, right, kind of blocked out, and then I come in with my original marker, which is this guy, and I just kind of blend it, right? And you can go in circles. Remember, it might get a little bit darker if you only put one light coat of marker in the first place. But circles help it blend nicely. But remember too that when it dries, it's going to dry back to that lighter color. Okay, so it always looks darker when you first put it on and it's wet. All right. So, okay, so now he's got a little more three-dimension in his hat too. And I might want to come in there with an even darker color. I'm going to do the same thing with the rest of it, and we'll see what it looks like when